Sometime after 45, the brain starts to feel like a phone running on 3% battery. Slow, foggy, unreliable. What if the charger was sitting in your kitchen the whole time? You know the feeling. You walk into a room and forget why you came. A word you have used 1,000 times suddenly disappears mid-sentence. You finish lunch and feel like someone wrapped your head in wet cotton. You tell yourself it is stress. You tell yourself it is age. But here is what most people never hear. That foggy feeling is not just in your head. It is coming from somewhere much lower. Researchers have spent the last decade studying a direct communication highway between the gut and the brain. And what they found is changing the way scientists think about memory, focus, and mental energy after midlife. This is not about supplements. This is not about expensive treatments. It is about the food on your plate and what it is doing to your brain every single day. Your gut and your brain are in constant conversation. Not a metaphor, a real, physical, biological conversation. The connection runs through a nerve called the vagus nerve. Think of it as a high-speed cable running from your stomach up to your brain. About 80% of the signals on that cable travel upward, from the gut to the brain. Your brain is mostly listening to your gut, not giving it orders. Inside your gut, there are trillions of bacteria. Scientists call this community the microbiome. When you feed those bacteria the right foods, they produce protective compounds called short-chain fatty acids. Those compounds reduce inflammation in brain tissue, protect the barrier that keeps toxins out of your brain, and help your neurons communicate more cleanly. But when the microbiome gets out of balance, harmful bacteria trigger what scientists call silent inflammation. You cannot feel it the way you feel a sore knee, but your brain can. Processing slows down, memory gets sticky, energy drops. That foggy feeling is your brain reacting to signals from your gut. The good news is that you can change those signals. Starting with your next meal. Just 4 food categories. Each one works through a real biological mechanism. The first is dark leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables. Spinach, arugula, kale, and broccoli. Fiber in these plants feeds your beneficial gut bacteria, which produce the short-chain fatty acids that calm brain inflammation. Dark greens also contain folate and B vitamins that support neurotransmitter production. Low folate levels in midlife have been linked to faster cognitive decline. The second is fatty fish, wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring. Your brain is roughly 60% fat by dry weight. A large portion is DHA, an omega-3 built directly into your neuron membranes, keeping them flexible and responsive. A systematic review found that omega-3 intake of around 2,000 milligrams per day significantly improved processing speed and spatial memory in adults. If you do not eat fish, walnuts are an alternative, though conversion to DHA in the body is limited. The third is dark berries, blueberries, blackberries, black currants. Their pigment comes from anthocyanins, which cross the blood-brain barrier and appear directly in brain tissue, including the hippocampus. A placebo-controlled trial using brain imaging showed that 16 weeks of daily blueberry consumption increased neural activation in older adults during memory tasks, and that effect worked through activation of BDNF, a protein that stimulates new neural connections. The fourth is fermented foods, sauerkraut without vinegar, kefir, plain yogurt. Probiotic bacteria in these foods do not permanently colonize your gut, but during their stay, they compete with harmful bacteria and support your immune response. Fermented foods support your gut environment and immune system. That is already worth something. Now the other side. Added sugar and refined carbohydrates spike blood sugar fast and they crash it hard. That crash promotes systemic inflammation that reaches your brain and slows everything down. Industrial trans fats are more specific. They compete directly with DHA for a place inside your neuron membranes. When a trans fat wins, the membrane becomes rigid. Signals slow down. This is a precise biochemical process where the wrong fat physically replaces the right fat inside your brain cells. Reducing these two categories is not about perfection, it is about frequency. Food is powerful, but it is not the whole story. Physical activity increases BDNF, stimulates new neurons in the hippocampus, and reduces neuroinflammation independently of what you eat. Sleep is not rest. During deep sleep, your brain activates the glymphatic system, which flushes out toxic proteins including beta amyloid. Chronic stress changes your microbiome composition and increases gut permeability. No diet compensates for chronic poor sleep or unmanaged stress. Changes in your microbiome begin within days of improving your diet, but stable shifts take 3 to 8 weeks. Subjective mental changes typically appear no earlier than 4 weeks in. Do not quit early. That is exactly when the real work is being done. In the morning, add a handful of dark berries to whatever you already eat. At lunch, a generous portion of leafy greens alongside a tablespoon of sauerkraut. 2 or 3 times a week, replace a meat dinner with baked mackerel or salmon. Not a diet, just a gradual shift guided by what the science says about your brain. You started this video like that phone on 3% battery. Now you know why, and you know where the charger is. Your brain is not failing you. It is responding to signals from your gut, your plate, your sleep, how you move. Every one of those signals is something you have real influence over. Start small. Pick one change. Add the berries. Swap one dinner for salmon. Give it 4 weeks and pay attention to how your thinking feels. Now I want to hear from you. What surprised you most in this video? Drop it in the comments below. And if this kind of content is useful to you, hit subscribe. Real science, no fluff, practical tools you can actually use.